Hello, hello, hello. What is going on, my loves? Happy Monday, and welcome to another edition of the Weekly Astro Forecast live here in the Astro Room here on YouTube. So, as always, I am your favorite host and your favorite astrologer, Mel of Divine Feminine Works, where I help people unlock their divinity and discover their magic. So, if this is our first time meeting, welcome. And as always, if you are returning, welcome back. So this channel is everything astrology, spirituality, and manifestation. So if those are the things you like, if those are the things you love, or if those are the things you want to learn more about, don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell. So you'll always be notified when I come out with new content. All right, my loves. I've missed you guys so much. It has been a minute since I've been on here live. You know, life was lifing, and then I had a whole bunch of technical issues, but thankfully, all of that is behind me. And so now we are back on track and ready to go. All right. And so tonight, this is the weekly astro forecast for the week of November 13th through 19th, 2023. I'm also giving you a little bonus because I wasn't able to do the November monthly astro forecast. I'm going to give you a quick rundown of everything going on in November so you're not lost. And then we'll get into the weekly. We'll pull some cards. You know the deal. It's a whole ass vibe over here. All right. So before I get into the details, as always, some housekeeping and some announcements. So in terms of announcements, happy new moon in Scorpio. If you haven't checked it out already, I did a dedicated video all about this new moon. You definitely want to watch it. Even though the new moon is today, the energy is still available to you over the next 2 days. All right. So if you haven't checked that video out, please feel free to do so. All right. And the link will be in the description box below. So if you are joining me here on the live tonight, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you so much. Please feel free to say hello on your way in and hit that like button as well, please and thank you. And if you are watching this on the replay, I appreciate you just as much. If you find this information valuable, if you find it useful, if you find it enlightening, surprising, you learned something, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and share these videos. The information in this video, actually all of my videos, are meant to help people understand what's going on and in turn understand themselves. All right. So thank you so much. All right. In terms of announcements, that's pretty much it. We are moving forward. We are getting into the end of the year, and I've got something special lined up for you guys in December. So you'll definitely want to turn on notifications because when I drop it, you will definitely not want to miss it. All right. All right. All right. All right. And as always, if you are someone who is new to astrology, right? And you have no idea what's going on. There's all this astrology jargon. There's all of this information. And you're just like, I really want to understand this. Or maybe you've started studying astrology and you're realizing that it's a lot because astrology is a lot. It is not just, oh, let me look at this and then it's whatever. Like it's going down the rabbit hole. So if you fall in either of those categories, I've created something special for you. It's called the Astrology Basics Cheat Sheet. It is basically everything you need to know to start learning and understanding astrology so you can start committing it to memory and so you can really get your life together. All right. So basically, it covers information on what I call the 4 pillars of astrology, which are the planets, the houses, the zodiac signs, and the aspects. All right. It is an 11-page PDF document with a short summary on all of these things so you can start learning what they are and start committing them to memory, because regardless of what anyone says or doesn't say, astrology is definitely a science. And like any science, it requires a good deal of study. And so to help you start studying, I created the cheat sheet. It's completely free. All you got to do is drop your email address and you'll be good to go. And the link to that will be in the description box below. All right. And also, if you are someone who's interested in getting your weekly horoscope, but you don't know where to look online, or maybe what you're looking for doesn't necessarily resonate with you, definitely consider subscribing to my Astro Community text service. And you'll want to do that by texting the word ZODIAC to the number 855-826-5544. That number will be in the description box as well. You will get your weekly horoscope delivered to your phone every Monday morning. People seem to really love them. They seem to find them hella accurate. So if you're interested, that link will be in the description box below. And one more thing, my signature service. If you have an idea of your natal chart, maybe you have no idea what your natal chart contains, maybe you're confused, maybe you want more clarity, I suggest that you sign up for my signature service, which is called the Blueprint. It's a natal chart report and consultation. So the report is about 20 pages. The consultation is an hour via Zoom, where I break down your natal chart from soup to nuts. And during the consultation, I pull some cards, plus you have the opportunity to ask any question you like about your natal chart. And trust and believe, I don't like to toot my own horn, but this is good. It's good because it really breaks down the essence of you in a lot of different categories. Your money, your career, your finances, your relationships, your early childhood, what your future might even potentially look like. It is chock full of information. So if you are interested in signing up for this service, it will be tagged in this video, and it will also be linked in the description box below. All right. So definitely take advantage, because guess what? Come January, the price is definitely going up. So you'll want to catch that before the year is out. All right. All right. So far we've got Ramel and we've got Teen in the house. Hey, Teen, how are you? Thank you so much for tuning in. All right, my love. So without further ado, let's get into it. So of course, we're going to start with November. I know we're sort of halfway through the month, but I don't want to leave you hanging. So let's talk about it. All right. So, don't need to see that quite yet. Let me fix this real quick. We'll get to all of that in a second. All right. So, November. So I know that you guys are probably still recuperating from October, because October was back-to-back eclipses. It was the universe's way of clearing things in our lives. It was intense, to say the least. And thankfully, we are out of eclipse season for this year. We won't have any more eclipses until April or May of next year. So now November is kind of the month where things are sort of settling in. The dust has settled and we're finally seeing where things are in our lives. Who stayed, who went, what changed, what didn't. And so now November is a time to do some emotional cleanup while the sun and a plethora of planets are in Scorpio. And then by the end of the month, we're going to sort of be venturing out, right? Like the beginning of the month is very much introspective, where I would say the second half of the month is a lot more external. It's a lot more extroverted when the sun goes into Sagittarius. All right. So it's going to be a month that's relatively calmer. I want to say relatively, because this Scorpio energy this year in particular, this particular 2023 Scorpio season, it's a little different than last year because it's a lot more intense. We've got plenty of planets in Scorpio, but Scorpio's traditional ruler is actually in the sign. So things are going to be very intense, and you're going to feel it probably on a very visceral kind of level, particularly with this new moon in Scorpio. But I'll get to that a little later. So for right now, let's talk about what the month looks like sort of chronologically and see how it's going to affect us. All right. So first up, back on the 4th, we had Saturn going direct in Pisces, and this is a pretty big deal because Saturn will remain in Pisces until about 2025. So Saturn's going to be there for a while. And while retrograde, Saturn in Pisces really had us examining our inner world. Everything about Pisces has to do with our subconscious. It has everything to do with sort of our inner world, right? And sort of what makes us tick, right? If you're familiar with manifestation, you will know that it's actually our subconscious mind that is projected into our reality. So whatever you're seeing in your reality is really just a projection of what's going on within you. And so with Saturn in Pisces, generally, we are forced to take sort of a cold, hard look at sort of our inner programming. What programming are we running on? Who's in charge? Who's the boss of us, right? And when Saturn was retrograde, we were really looking at that introspectively. So we were really taking a look at sort of what makes us tick, what we believe, right? Pisces has a lot to do with our belief system. And so while Saturn was in Pisces, especially retrograde, and it was retrograde from June 17th until November 4th, I believe that during that time, many of us may have been examining our beliefs, whether it's our religious beliefs, whether it's our societal beliefs, whether it's our family beliefs, like trying to figure out where this comes from and why we think the way that we think. Why do we feel the way that we feel? Is that of our own doing, or is it because of someone else's influence? And so now that we've had a couple of months to really examine this, right? I say theoretically because maybe you weren't doing this work, right? But suffice it to say, I think that if you're watching this video, you're probably someone who at least thought about these things to a certain extent. Now that Saturn is direct in Pisces, we can take that energy, we can take what we've learned, we can take those lessons, and we can start applying them to our real everyday lives. Essentially, Saturn direct in Pisces has a lot to do with making your dreams real. It's taking an idea, it's taking a fantasy, it's taking a thought form and actually crystallizing it here on Earth. So it's literally making your dreams reality. And so now we have this energy at our disposal until May of 2025, I believe. So really, it's not just about, Saturn in Pisces is not just about, oh, I have this dream. This is what I want to do. This is who I want to be. It's more so about, okay, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to be, or who I want to be. What work do I have to do? Saturn is all about work. It's all about diligence. It's all about discipline. It's also about systems. A lot of our dreams can really be found in the habits that we have on a regular basis, right? Your consistency, your diligence to doing things in a methodical and regular sort of way sort of paves the way for your dreams to become reality. And so now that Saturn is direct in Pisces, that's exactly what we can do. So it's about the time to figure out what you want to do and then actually do the work to make it happen. All right. Sounds simple, but Saturn may throw some curveballs your way, especially because Saturn has this energy signature of obstacles, of challenges and things like that. Like the road from point A to your dream, to the fulfillment of your dream, can be like running a gauntlet. It can be like going through an obstacle course, and your job, or at least, let me not say your job, I'll say your challenge, if you choose to accept it, is just being consistent with that and keep your eyes on the prize and keep going forward. That's the essence of Saturn in Pisces. All right. Then next up on November 8th, we had Venus entering her home sign of Libra. So before that, Venus was in Virgo, and Venus was not happy in Virgo. Venus in Virgo was actually not well placed. Venus likes to be expressive. Venus likes beauty for beauty's sake, whereas Venus in Virgo is very much utilitarian. It's like things aren't valuable to Venus in Virgo unless they're useful. And so Venus was very uncomfortable with that energy. And so now that Venus is going into Libra, or Venus has gone into Libra, she's a lot more comfortable. She can express herself. She can engage in things for the sake of beauty. It doesn't have to be useful. It could just be beautiful, right? So Libra is the relationship sign. So while Venus is in Libra, which she will remain for the remainder of the month, relationships are going to be a focus. Love is going to be a focus. But most importantly, reciprocity and equality. It's not just enough to have a relationship. What kind of relationship is it? Is it one-sided? Is it equal? Is it a reflection? Well, all of your relationships are a reflection of you. But is your relationship an accurate reflection of you? Is your partner an accurate reflection of who you truly are? Venus in Libra is going to have you figure that out. Also, Venus in Libra is great for negotiations, for settlement. So if there's a relationship that maybe you need to mend, a relationship that needs some work, Venus in Libra will help smooth things over, keep the peace, and bring everyone back together harmoniously. All right. Venus in Libra is a wonderful placement because, again, that's Venus's home sign. So you may want to take advantage of this energy by doing relationship stuff, or at least advocating for yourself in your relationships. When it comes to fairness, when it comes to equality, you're going to want to advocate for yourself. You're going to want to have things fair. You're going to want your partner to have as much emphasis on you as you have of them, right? Also, Venus in Libra is great for anything creative, right? Especially things like fashion and music and things like that, right? Venus in Libra, because Libra is an air sign, this is about thinking of beautiful things and creating beautiful things from your mind, right? So that's definitely a great way to utilize the energy. All right. So next up, on the 10th, we had Mercury going into Sagittarius, okay? Mercury in Sag is a wonderful transit because it really allows you to broaden your mind, okay? Sagittarius, I love Sagittarius energy because it is optimistic, it's hopeful, it looks to the future, and it looks at the bigger picture. So when Mercury is in Sagittarius, we have the ability to see the bigger picture of life, to see the bigger picture of perhaps the things that we want, to open our minds to new experiences, to new people, to new cultures, to new beliefs, all of that wonderful stuff. So when Mercury is in Sagittarius, we tend to gravitate toward things that may be a little different. We become more interested in different cultures. We want to learn from different people. We want to experience life. Sagittarius is truth seeking, right? But it's truth seeking in the sense that we gain wisdom through experience. And so when Mercury is in Sagittarius, it's a great time, for example, to plan a trip, particularly a trip to some place far away that you've never been, because that allows you to gain wisdom through experience. Nothing broadens your mind than being in a new environment around new people and experiencing new things. So while Mercury is in Sagittarius, this is a great time to either take a trip particularly to a foreign place, or start planning a trip. Let's say you're trying to go to Bali. This would be a great time and a great transit for you to start researching, for you to start figuring out, okay, this is how much I'm going to need. Perhaps hitting up the group chat and saying, hey, who's interested in doing X, Y, and Z, right? Great time for that. On a more mundane level, Sagittarius energy has a lot to do with higher knowledge. So there may be an emphasis while Mercury is in Sagittarius, perhaps on upper level coursework like college, grad school, things like that, law school, medical school. Speaking of law, things like philosophy, law, and religion are also emphasized by Sagittarius energy. So when Mercury is in Sagittarius, you're either thinking about these things more, perhaps talking about these topics. Mercury in Sag is a great time to perhaps start a legal proceeding, because Sagittarius energy, again, like I said before, has a lot to do with law. So on a more mundane level, those are the kind of things that you may want to do while this transit is in effect. All right, let's keep it moving. And today, November 13th, is the powerful new moon in Scorpio. Okay. Scorpio is all about transformation. I'm going to go into this a lot deeper during the weekly portion of tonight's broadcast. But suffice it to say, this is the new moon where if you want to make profound and permanent changes in your life, this is where you're going to want to plant the seeds. However, Scorpio energy is a bit complex because it's dark. It requires you to enter the underworld, examine your darker side. Essentially, this new moon is calling for you to look to see what's under the surface. Look to see where you may be standing in your own way, or maybe what emotional baggage or gunk you're holding on to that's preventing you from having your truest desires, because Scorpio has a lot to do with our desires. So this is the new moon where it may be new beginnings that are definitely preceded by endings. Maybe if you're doing some emotional cleanup, you're realizing what's working in your life, what's not, and you're cutting some things off so you can have a really fresh new beginning. Now, this new moon is particularly interesting because the South Node is now out of Scorpio. But from end of 2021 until this summer, oh, I have a hair on my lip. The South Node was in Scorpio. So every new moon in Scorpio over the last 2 years was an eclipse for the most part. So this is the first new moon in Scorpio after all of these eclipses are done, and we really are starting fresh right now. Like, this is really fresh energy. So this is a great opportunity for you to really start something new. It's going to require a bit of work. It's going to require you to really examine yourself on a very deep level. However, if you're willing to do so, the sky's the limit to what you can create at this new moon. It's also a great moon for magic, right? Because Scorpio rules the occult. So any of you magicians out there, this is a great, new moon to flex your skills. And again, it's all about transformation. So if you're looking to, anything regarding weight loss, maybe you want to transform your financial situation, depending on where this new moon is going down in your chart, you definitely want to take advantage of that energy. All right. Next up on the 22nd, we have Sagittarius season officially beginning. So Scorpio season is very much internal, right? We're doing shadow work. Things are spooky, mysterious. It's very dark. And then it's like once we enter Sagittarius season, it's like we shoot up into the light. It's like going from underground to high in the sky. That's sort of the energy signature of the sun going from Scorpio to Sagittarius. Now, sort of the same energy that I spoke about with Mercury in Sagittarius is sort of emblematic of the sun in Sagittarius. There's a focus on, number one, wherever Sagittarius is in your natal chart. So you're going to want to take a look at that. That's where the focus is going to be for you during Sagittarius season. But also, we have a sense of adventure. We want to experience new things, like I mentioned before. It's all about broadening our minds. Opening our minds is all about expansion. Now that you understand yourself a little better because you've done that shadow work during Scorpio season, it's sort of time to take your new self out for a spin. It's time to experience the world as this new self having emerged. Think about biblically, right? Think about how Jesus was in the tomb for 3 days and then he rose, right? There was this resurrection. Think of the tomb being Scorpio season and that resurrection, him coming out of the cave and ascending. That's Sagittarius. And he had a completely different experience, right? From being in the tomb to being ascended, right? And that's sort of what we have at our disposal during this season. So when the sun is in Sagittarius, it's really great, number one, to travel, experience new things, new people, new cultures, but do anything that will expand your perspective, that will allow you to grow, whether that's mentally, whether it's spiritually even. Allow yourself to expand and think of life as an adventure. It's a time to be kind of spontaneous. It's a time to really tap into your passions and not be so serious or bogged down by details, but really wanting to get a big slice of life. I know that sounds super corny, but that's kind of the essence of Sagittarius season. So it's a wonderful season to really expand and do some new things. All right. Then on November 24th, we have Mars moving into Sagittarius. So remember I said Sagittarius is kind of like about following your passions, right? Mars in Sagittarius, that's going to be on overdrive. Many people are going to be very driven to do new things. Almost, I'm not going to say in an obsessive kind of way, but in a very hyped up, really motivated kind of way. It's like your foot is on the gas and you are ready to just go really far, super far, right? It's just going to add an adrenaline boost to whatever house Sagittarius rules in your natal chart. So again, you're going to want to look at where Sagittarius is in your natal chart. Once Mars goes in there, that is when you're going to experience perhaps more physical energy to do whatever that house covers, right? Like let's say Sagittarius is your 7th house. With Mars going into your 7th house, it's like you are going to be extra driven, extra excited even to pursue relationships or take relationships to a new level or have new business partnerships, right? But keep in mind, Mars and Sagittarius can also mean a lot of blowups. It can mean a lot of expanded energy very quickly. Think of like a bomb going off. So especially if Sagittarius is a house where you deal with others, like your 3rd house of siblings, your 7th house of committed partnerships, or your 11th house of friendships. This is where you can possibly really butt heads with people and a little argument could really blow up into something major. So you're going to want to be mindful of what you say and how you let people talk to you when Mars is in Sagittarius. All right. And then finally, we close out November with a full moon in Gemini on November 27th. So full moons represent the culmination of things. It also represents how things become illuminated to us. Things that may have been hidden in the dark become illuminated to us. So the full moon in Gemini, you're going to want to take a look at where Gemini is in your natal chart. This is where you may be experiencing some kind of ending or a crescendo or something finally coming to completion. Let's say you've got Gemini as your second house, your house of money. When the full moon is in Gemini, this may be perhaps you've been saving up money to buy a big ticket item, and now it finally comes to fruition. Or maybe you've been applying for a job and you've been going through the rounds of interviews. Maybe now you get the job. It's that sort of culmination, right? But Gemini also has a lot to do with our mind. And so this may be a full moon where you really learn something new. You learn a new skill. You have an idea about something. It's like the light bulb goes off in your head. So again, you're going to want to look at where Gemini is in your chart. This is where all of that is going down. And I will definitely do a dedicated video on the full moon in Gemini. So rest assured, you will know all the juicy details of that particular full moon. All right. So that is November in a nutshell. So now that we've got that out of the way, let's get into the weekly and see what we got going on this week. All right, my loves. So I must say that this week, hot and spicy. Between the new moon in Scorpio going down today, and we've got a very important conjunction happening at the end of the week. Scorpio energy is like on fire this week, for better or for worse. And I will get into all of that in a second. But just understand that if you are feeling very fired up, whether you're feeling aggravated, whether you're feeling angry, whether you're feeling rage, or whether you're feeling sexual, or whether you're feeling horny, that is definitely this excess of Scorpio energy. But in terms of the highlights of this week, we have what I like to call the Big Bang, and that is the new moon in Scorpio. I call it the Big Bang because it has such amazing creative potential. And when I say creative, I mean the ability to create something new, something profound and permanent, all right? This is like the Big Bang Theory, where it's like darkness and all of a sudden, boom, you've got a whole bunch of shit, right? You've got a whole bunch of planets and stars and all of this other stuff. That is the essence of this new moon in Scorpio energy. All right. The next up, I have what I like to call sensitivity and creativity. So we've got two Neptune transits this week. We have Sunshine Neptune and Mars trine Neptune. This is going to allow us to tap into our creativity. Perhaps for some of us, especially integrating our creativity into our identity, okay? It's also about recognizing your greater purpose. And on the other hand, we'll also have the ability to create new things and take action on our dreams. If there's anything that is emphasized this week, it may be this concept of action, where we are literally doing what we need to do to get what we want. Not by any means necessary. It's not necessarily in a manipulative or like with a negative connotation. But I do think that this is the week where many of us are figuring out, okay, this is what I want to do, or this is what I'm here to do, and taking the action to do that, okay? And also for some, perhaps maybe you've let your creativity fall by the wayside. Maybe you have been experiencing a lull in your creativity. I feel like these Neptune transits this week are going to allow you to rekindle those creative flames. I feel like it's going to start heating up some of your creativity. So if you feel inspired to do something, if you get this inclination to just pick up a brush, a pen, or an instrument, you'll definitely want to do that this week. And then finally, I have what I like to call feel the heat. And this is the Sun conjunct Mars, which is going down on Saturday. This is a super important transit. Number one, because it doesn't happen that often. It happens about every 2.5 years. And it's so important. It kind of sets the tone or the undertone for the next 2 years. And the best way to describe this transit is hot shit. Like, it's just hot. It's heat. It's energy. It's drive. It's go time. It's like a bat shooting out of hell. Like, that's essentially what this particular transit is. There's a little more nuance to it, which I'll get into a little later, but this is a transit that you're going to want to pay attention to, especially as it pertains to where it's going down in your chart, because this, like I said, kind of sets the stage and kind of sets the undercurrent for the next 2 years. I'm going to get to that in a second. All right. So let's take a look at the week and see exactly what it's looking like. So today we've got the sun opposite Uranus, we've got the new moon in Scorpio, and we have the moon moving into Sagittarius probably about right now around this time. Then on Wednesday, we've got Mercury sextile Venus, which is always a good time. Then on Thursday, we've got the moon in Capricorn, followed by Friday, those 2 Neptune transits. We've got the Sun trine Neptune and Mars trine Neptune. Then we close out the week on Saturday with that powerful Sun conjunct Mars and Moon moving into Aquarius. All right, so without further ado, let's get into it. All right, my love. So on Monday, which is today, we've got that new moon of Scorpio, which you will see at the bottom portion of the chart. We've also got sun opposite Uranus, which is directly across from that new moon. So at the top right-hand corner, you'll see Uranus at 21 degrees Taurus. And then later on this evening, we've got the moon moving into Sagittarius. All right. So let's discuss. So new moon in Scorpio, transformation that's permanent and profound, but it's going to require you to do a bit of shadow work, right? Scorpio energy is all about getting to the bottom of things, meaning finding the truth of the matter, no matter how ugly it is. So a lot of times when we want things, when we want to manifest things, we're like, yeah, I want to manifest the money, or I want to manifest a relationship, right? Knowing full well that we have hang-ups about money. We've got emotional baggage from all our relationships. Scorpio was like, I can't handle that. Scorpio was like, I need to get down to the bottom of this and figure out why I keep attracting the same person, or why I keep having money issues. It's in doing that, in understanding that from a very deep soul level, that's how you're able to make permanent changes. It's not just enough to say, I want to lose weight, right? It's about, well, why did I put on weight in the first place? Why have I been overeating? Why have I not been exercising? It's in that examination that you find the truth, and the truth will set you free, and it kind of clears the slate so that you can start having what you want. And that's exactly what this new moon is all about. Okay. Let's see if there are any pertinent things I should mention now, because I did the dedicated video. So if you want to know more, definitely check out the video. Okay. It's magical in the sense that you can tap into your own magic. Now, magic typically gets a negative connotation from people because they think black magic, they think magic is manipulation, or it's wrong, or whatever society or your religion is teaching you. Magic is just creation. It's literally creation. We all have the ability to do magic. We all have the ability to create. And this is the new moon that is asking you to tap into that. However you do magic. It could be prayer. You could be a prayer warrior, and boom, that's how you get things. It could be candle magic. It could be manifestation techniques. Whatever it is, get in your magical bag and start creating some shit. All right. Now, this new moon is going to be conjunct Mars, okay? So there's this fiery element to it. It's also highlighting your desires. Mars is a very physical kind of energy. Mars energy is very physical, has a lot to do with sex, has a lot to do with physical exertion, right? But it has a lot to do with our desires, typically our animalistic desires. When we're talking about Scorpio, and we're talking about Mars, and we're talking about this new moon, it's really asking you to be honest about what you really desire. Not what other people want for you, not what you think is appropriate even. It's really about what you really desire. And with the new moon conjunct Mars, there's sex written all over this. So if you don't know how to manifest using sex, you're definitely going to want to look it up, because this is the new moon where you're going to want to do that. Whether you are coupled up or whether it's a solo dolo kind of thing. You're going to want to get those creative juices flowing literally and figuratively, and that's all I'm going to say about that. But Mars conjunct this new moon, it's like you may feel really amped and motivated to really start something new, to really start that shadow work, to really create something that's so different than what you've been experiencing. I feel like this new moon has a lot of people feeling like they're sick and tired of being sick and tired. They're tired of how things have been going and they're ready for a change. And this is a new moon where it can happen if you will only do the work, though. Remember, Scorpio is all about what's under the surface. It's not like, okay, I want to lose weight. Let me just get on keto and go to the gym 2 times a week. No, like again, why'd you put on the weight? Why have you been overeating? Why haven't you, been diligent about, exercising and things like that? Maybe you realize that it's because, you have self-esteem issues, or maybe you're embarrassed when you go to the gym. Like whatever it is, you're going to want to face that. New moon of Scorpio, Scorpio energy period has a lot to do with facing your demons and making them your friends. That's the essence of what you have at your disposal right now. And the new moon is also going to be opposite Uranus. So this is about expecting the unexpected. This is about coming out of your comfort zone, right? Be mindful of what you hear. Be mindful of the conversations that you have. Uranus is the hand of God. And so sometimes God works through people. Maybe there's a message that you need to hear. Maybe there's something that you need to see. So keep your ears and your eyes open for somewhat faded conversations or, faded information that you are meant to hear or see at this time. And also follow your intuition. With Scorpio being a water sign and water having to do with our emotions, this is the time to really listen to and follow your intuition. It will be spot on in terms of what to do, or even what to do next, or what step to take, or who to talk to, or whatever. So tap into your intuitive abilities at this time. And there was something else I was going to say. In terms of Uranus energy. Oh, the way the astrology is set up right now, the way that the world is set up right now, things are moving a bit faster, don't you think? When it comes to manifesting things, when it comes to things just coming to fruition, time has sped up. And so Scorpio energy, it holds so much weight because it's your emotions. Remember I said before with Saturn and Pisces, it's your subconscious that gets projected onto your reality. So be mindful of what you're feeling right now and what you're giving intensity to. Let's say you want to manifest a new relationship right now. You're tired of the people that you've been dating. You want something new. This is not the time to ruminate on your past relationships and be like, oh my God, I can't believe they did this to me. Oh my God, I can't stand them. Oh my God, all women are gold diggers. All men are cheaters. It's like that intensity that you're giving, those emotions that you're highlighting, that's what's going to be like immediately projected onto your reality. So be mindful of how you're feeling. Be mindful of what you're giving life to via your emotions, okay? This isn't to get you scared. This isn't to get you anxious about, oh my gosh, I felt something bad or I thought something bad. Is it going to immediately manifest? No. But the more you ruminate on it, the more you stew in those emotions that you don't want to feel, is the more that those things that you don't want are going to start to show up, or continue to show up, and not allow you to have this new beginning that this new moon of Scorpio is giving you. All right. So be mindful of that. Now, next up, we've got the sun opposite Uranus. This is like trying to get you to try new things. Above all else with this transit, you're going to want to follow your intuition, even if it feels like it doesn't make any sense. Now, if you're watching this video, if you're watching this live or the replay, I'm pretty sure you're someone who's been on this spiritual journey before. But if you haven't, if you're new around here, you'll know that, or you'll come to realize that our intuition is not a direct reflection of our thoughts. Sometimes our intuition can be completely in an opposite direction from our thoughts, right? And our intuition is like our inner compass. It really shows us which direction in which to go. And a lot of times we either can't hear our intuition, or we hear it and we doubt it because it doesn't make logical sense, right? But if you are tapped in, when I say tapped in, you are tapped into your higher self, you're tapped into God, source, universe, whatever it is. That is how your higher self communicates with you. It's not going to be through here. This is your ego. Your higher self is going to communicate with you through your intuition. And so perhaps the most mundane example is perhaps you take a particular route to work, you take a particular train to work. And one day you're just like, you know what, let me take a different street, or let me take a different train, or let me just do something different. You don't know why, but you end up doing it. And you avoided an accident that was on the typical route that you take. Or maybe you meet someone who becomes your new friend, or you overhear something that you really needed to hear, right? It's your intuition that guided you to that. And with the sun opposite Uranus, it's almost like it's almost like your ego versus your intuition. And your ego is like, no, this makes logical sense. Or based on what I usually do, this is what I should be doing now. Whereas Uranus is like, nah, you need to get out of your comfort zone. You need to go in whatever direction I'm telling you. You need to talk to this person, even if it makes no sense. So if you find that you feel like you're on a seesaw between your intuition and your ego, that's definitely because of this transit. And I will always say your intuition kind of trumps your ego pretty much all of the time, because your intuition is never wrong. Okay. Don't resist the urge to do something new and exciting. It may not even be as deep as there's something that you need to hear or a person you need to talk to. Maybe you just need to get out of a rut that you're in. Maybe you just need fresh energy to refresh your mind or refresh your spirit, right? That's also how this transit works, right? But also with this particular transit, it has kind of a negative side. And that may be that things may come into your life really quickly, cause havoc, and then leave as quickly as they came. So things might be shaken up, right? You might experience like a bull in a china shop kind of situation real quick. And when it comes to those kind of things, you kind of just have to let them pass. Don't try to control it, manipulate it. Just let it pass, because perhaps it was clearing the way for something that you needed. Maybe you needed that shakeup. Maybe you needed a little bit of havoc or a little bit of drama in your life to get you to see things differently, or to get new, fresh energy to you so that you can get on the right path, right? Whatever Uranus causes, which is usually sudden, unexpected, it can be tumultuous even, it's always for a higher purpose. So just ride the wave. Just ride it. Just let it do what it do, and you'll be just fine on the other side. All right. And then tonight, after we have this new moon energy in Scorpio during the day, we have the moon moving into Sagittarius. So I love this right off the heels of this new moon, because moon in Sagittarius has us feeling optimistic, hopeful, and looking at the bigger picture. So although this new moon energy may feel a little heavy, right? Especially if it comes with shadow work, especially if it comes with facing your demons. I feel like once the moon moves into Sagittarius, you're feeling a lot hopeful. You're understanding why you had to go through that, or why things are the way that they are, so you can make those changes, and you feel good about making those changes because you see the bigger picture. So moon in Sagittarius, it's kind of happy-go-lucky, it's optimistic, it's hopeful, and it's futuristic. So use it for that purpose, especially if you find that the work you're doing around this new moon is kind of heavy, or it's kind of dark, or it's taking you to a place that feels kind of weighed down. All right. Better days are ahead. And that's exactly what the moon in Sagittarius promises. All right. Let's keep it moving. All right, so next up on Wednesday, we've got Mercury sextile Venus. So Mercury is currently in Sagittarius, and you'll see that at the bottom portion of the chart. And Venus is currently in her sign of Libra, and both planets will be at 7 degrees. All right, and that's pretty important because 7 is an important number. So 2023 is a 7 year, all right? And 7 has a lot to do with intellect plus intuition. It's this number of wholeness, right? The world was created, or everything was created within 7 days, according to the Bible. So it's this number of completion. It's It's this number of understanding sort of the real and the ethereal, right? It's a very spiritual number. It's the number of God, right? So, with both of these planets at 7 degrees, you would think that it has this really spiritual and very sort of esoteric kind of signature. And it does to a little extent, but because Mercury and Venus are personal planets and they're so close to the Earth, we feel the energy of these two planets very strongly. And with this particular transit, I like it because it's very fun loving. And it really fosters socializing and it fosters togetherness, right? It's a great transit to go out. It's a great transit to meet new people. It's a great transit to mend relationships. It has a lot to do with bringing people together in a harmonious sort of way. It's like everyone is on the same accord. And going back to the number 7, that number 7 being a number of wholeness, is sort of like people are just understanding each other better. And I don't even think it's going to be something that's necessarily conscious. I think that people are just sort of going to be feeling this way. And this is a wonderful transit, especially for now, with everything that's sort of going on. This transit, although it's very short, it only lasts about a day or two. It's like a pocket of peace, essentially, as corny as that sounds. It's a pocket of peace, right? So things like going out are favored, doing business is favored, and resolving conflicts. So Wednesday is a feel-good day. Maybe this is the day that you want to go out for drinks after work. Maybe you want to chill with your friends. Maybe you want to, just go out and meet new people. Maybe you want to call someone you haven't spoken to in a while and say, hey, I'm sorry, or hey, I forgive you, right? It's all about mending relationships. Like, again, it's a pocket of peace. All right. So with that being said, let's keep it moving. All right, so Thursday is a kind of quiet day. We only have one transit, and that's the moon moving into Capricorn. And you will see that at the bottom portion of the screen, right? So when the moon is in Capricorn, it can be kind of a depressing kind of transit because Capricorn is all about the seriousness of life, the harshness of life. It represents karma, it represents the school of hard knocks. And so when the moon is in Capricorn, we tend to take a very sobering look at life. We're kind of more serious. We think about the future. Saturn, again, is a planet of karma. Karma is just cause and effect. So maybe when the moon is in Capricorn, you're kind of feeling the effects of a previous cause, right? Which could be a little sobering. Doesn't have to be, but it can be. When the moon is in Capricorn, we like to be productive. We like to be diligent. We like to think of the prize, think of the finish line, and really do the work to get there. So whenever the moon is in Capricorn, I feel like it's a great moon to be productive. It's a great moon to get things done that may be difficult. Start putting things in place that can assure long-term stability. Like when the moon is in Capricorn, this is when you save money. Maybe you don't go out. Maybe you don't get Uber Eats. Maybe you eat in, right? You make your own dinner. You save that money instead of doing something else. You put that money to better use, right? Like it's being adults. It's being an adult. Moon in Capricorn is about adulting for better or for worse, right? So again, it's a time when you want to do serious things. And because the moon is in the waxing phase, right? Because at this point, we will be in between the new moon and the upcoming full moon on the 27th. When the moon is in the waxing phase, this is when we take action steps toward the things that we want. When the moon is in Capricorn, this is when you do the work, perhaps the hard work. Perhaps you're working through something. Capricorn, more specifically, Saturn represents obstacles, delays, challenges. So it's hard work when the moon is in Capricorn. But doing the hard work actually makes you feel better. It makes you feel like you're accomplishing something. It makes you feel like you're working towards something. So again, while the moon is waxing and in Capricorn, you're going to want to get to work. You're going to want to be diligent. You're going to want to put your nose to the grindstone and make it do what it do. All right. That's Thursday. Let's move on to Friday. All right, so on Friday, we've got those 2 Neptune transits that I was talking about before. So you will see the sun and Mars together in the sign of Scorpio, right? And they will both be trying to Neptune, that is in Pisces. So this is a plethora of water energy. So expect the emotions to flow. Expect for life to sort of force your hand by making you go with the flow. And I say force your hand because Mars is a planet, it's an energy signature that likes to do, that likes to initiate. But when in a water sign, water kills fire, right? And Mars is fire. Mars is pure fire energy. So, as much as you may want to do certain things, the doing that you're going to have to do is really just going with the flow. It's kind of listening to your intuition and kind of going with that rather than using brute force to force things happen or to make things happen. And as a result, although these are harmonious transits, right? Like I said before, or I alluded to before, it has a lot to do with creativity. Realizing your purpose, your identity, what you want, your desires, and creating, right? But that creation isn't going to be physical force. It's not going to be physical work. It's kind of going to be an inside job. It's kind of going to be getting your emotions in alignment with what you want. The example I used before of you saying you want a new relationship or new type of relationship, yet your emotions are kind of saying the exact opposite because you're focusing on all the things you don't like, all the bullshit that you've experienced in the past, and you're feeding it by giving it emotion, by giving it intensity, right? That's how you're creating at this time. So this isn't about forcing, manipulating, or trying to coerce people or things or anything to get what you want. This is about going with the flow, going with the natural flow of things, right? Tapping into your higher self and allowing your higher self to take the wheel. That's exactly how this is kind of gonna play out, okay? So it's really important that you allow yourself to be driven, okay? And again, what I mean by that is you're allowing your higher self to take the wheel. And you're going with the flow, right? Like Neptune is in Pisces, and Pisces energy is like a river, right? It just continuously flows. You know how hard it is to paddle up river? Not saying that you can't do it, but it's like going up a down. It's like going up a down escalator. It's tough work, and not for nothing, you kind of look ridiculous doing it. Let's just be real. Trying to swim upstream can sometimes be futile. Maybe what you're looking for, maybe the best possible way for what you want to come about is if you swim downstream, is if you follow the natural currents of things. So keep that in mind, especially if you find that you're met with resistance. If you find that if you're spinning your wheels and you're met with resistance, or things are like hard, things are so arduous, maybe it's time to take a different approach. Maybe it's time to sort of let things flow. We can't necessarily control every single thing, right? And side note, tangent, this is one of the things or one of the ideals that I really don't quite ascribe to when it comes to how people are teaching manifesting these days. You'll see all these videos on YouTube, like manifest your specific person in 24 hours, or you can manifest anything in 3 days. Yes, it's a possibility. But sometimes the way that the universe works, the universe will always bring you what you want in the best way possible with the least amount of effort. But sometimes that requires you to wait. Sometimes it requires you to be patient. Sometimes it doesn't happen in 3 days like everyone is advertising, right? So it's really important to allow yourself to be led. Allow yourself to go with the flow. It will not steer you wrong. We are on this man-made timetable that sometimes really makes no sense when you really think about it. Time is really a mental construct. And sometimes we feel like we don't have enough time or we have to do this within this period of time. It's just not true. And you'll find that if you will relinquish the reins and just go with the flow. Now, that doesn't mean everything is like that. There are things that have deadlines. We live in a 3D world. You can't just be willy-nilly all over the place all the time. However, if you find that you're met with resistance, perhaps this is where you need to let go and go with the flow. That's all I'll say about that. But with both of these transits, Sun trine Neptune and Mars trine Neptune, it's really about your creativity. It's going to heat up your creativity. And this is great if you are a creative person. Perhaps maybe you have a job in a creative field. Like if you haven't been your best, if you haven't been producing your best work, I feel like these two transits are going to heat things up a little bit. It's going to get you fired up again. Maybe you will experience a situation in your external environment that motivates you. Maybe you see someone doing something that you want to do, or maybe someone bigs you up about something that you did in the past and you're like, oh yeah, I am that good. Or yeah, I really do like that. I don't know why I stopped doing that. I feel like your creativity is going to get a nice little fire under its ass. And I feel like that's a really good thing. So take advantage. Again, if you feel inspired to pick up a pen, brush, instrument, whatever it is, you have a beat in your head that you want to get on paper, or whatever it is, do it. I feel like you'll be much better for it, and it'll get the wheels turning again. It's almost like these transits are adding oil to, rusty wheels, or wheels that have been stagnant for a while. So again, but it requires you to go with the flow. If you're trying to do these things like, I got to get this done, I don't think it may work out for you. I think you kind of just need to allow yourself to be inspired. And in doing that, that's how you're going to start moving forward a lot more creatively. Okay. So that's Friday. Let's talk about Saturday. All right, so on Saturday, we have perhaps the most important transit of the week, and that is the Sun conjunct Mars. And you'll see that at the left-hand portion of the chart. Both will be at 25 degrees Scorpio. And that day, we also have the moon moving into Aquarius. All right, so like I said before, this transit kind of sets the undertone for the next 2.5 years. So you're going to want to take a look at where Scorpio is in your natal chart. This is the area of life that may be focused, that may get more attention or more emphasis over the next 2 years, right? This particular transit is like a bomb, okay? It is highly explosive, for better or for worse. Let's talk about the for worse part first and get that out of the way. This week especially, I want you to be extremely careful of accidents, especially as it pertains to fire, as it pertains to sharp instruments. Be extremely careful, okay? And I don't say that lightly, because this particular transit is very volatile. When I say volatile, this is like someone gets into a heated argument with someone and they get stabbed. Like, is that kind of volatile? So be careful of exerting too much energy or too much force. It could be physically dangerous, okay? Now, this could also be like an eruption. So apart from just a bomb exploding, it could also be like an active volcano, especially because Scorpio energy has a lot to do with repressed emotions. And you may find that one little trigger may really set you the fuck off, okay? And there's no telling what you can do when this volcano erupts. So please be mindful of that. If you are feeling extra hot, and by hot, I mean hot tempered. I'll get into the other kind of hot in a minute. But if you're feeling hot tempered, find a positive and constructive way to exert this energy. Please do not engage in physical altercations, because they can be deadly with this transit. I'm not kidding about this, okay? Run, work out, rub one off if you need to. Not too hard, right? You don't want to hurt yourself. But find a constructive way to release this energy, okay? Because this particular transit, again, it fosters violence, it fosters accidents, it fosters eruptions. So be mindful of that. That's the for worse part. Let's talk about the for better part. Sex. Right? This particular transit is great for creation on a physical level, and Scorpio has a lot to do with sex. So if you're not trying to get pregnant right now, if you're not trying to impregnate anybody, you know what to do. But if you are, go for it. But sexual energy is not just for creating babies, it's for creating anything. I kind of alluded to this before. Use your creative juices for good. If you're someone who, likes to please themselves on a regular basis, while you're doing that, think of the things that you want. Think of what you're trying to manifest. Literally give life to it with your creative juices. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you'll want to perhaps look into sex magic, manifestation techniques, all of that kind of stuff, but it's perfect for that. So this week, you might want to engage in some of that. And if you're not solo dolo, if you're coupled up, this may be a perfect partnership activity to do. Okay, so just putting that out there. But regardless, because Scorpio is dark energy and it's out of the darkness that we create, Sun conjunct Mars is all about creation. It's all about the big bang, pun intended, but not intended, okay? It's all about creation. So this, and again, you're going to want to look at where Scorpio is in your chart. This is where you have this power at your disposal, but it's all about how you use it. It's kind of like Harry Potter, right? And when he first got his wand and he didn't know how to use it, and it was just going off all over the place. Like that's also how this energy can manifest itself. Whenever we're talking about Mars, it's a great deal of physical force, and you're going to want to concentrate it. You're going to want to focus it on something. For instance, let's say that you want to manifest new money, more abundance in your life, and Scorpio happens to be your second house, right? This is not the time to be doing 1,000,001 things and scattering your energy like 6 different jobs or 5 different income streams. Pick one that you're particularly passionate about and put all of your energy into that, right? You don't even have to do that forever. But over the next 2 years, you're going to want to focus on that one thing, that one ideal, that one desire, and channel all of that physical energy, all of that creative energy into that. And you will see that come to fruition. You'll see bits and pieces of it coming pretty quickly over these 2 years, right? But you want to concentrate that energy and put it into one thing and put your full force behind it. And that's how you're going to see it come to fruition. All right. And then finally, we close out the week with the moon moving into Aquarius. When the moon is in Aquarius, we're feeling humanitarian. We're feeling quirky. It kind of has you feeling rebellious. You kind of want to do something out of the ordinary, experience something out of the ordinary, all that good stuff. So when the moon is in Aquarius, do something different. Go off the beaten path. Think of the future, innovate, invent something, think of something new, put that mind to use and make a master plan for the future. All right. Now you already know what you desire, right? Because we've kind of been in that desirous space during Scorpio season, especially with the new moon in Scorpio and Mars conjunct the sun in Scorpio, right? Put that to good use. Put a plan of action either on paper or in your head and think of the future. All right. And that is the week and November in a nutshell. So now let's get into some messages from Spirit. All right, my love. So I'm going to be pulling cards for all of the signs for this week. Now, I do it by sign, but whatever message resonates for you and with you is your message. Whether it's your sun sign, your moon sign, your rising, your Venus, your North Node, doesn't matter. If it is your message, then it is your message. All right. As always, we start with Aries. So let's see what we got for Aries this week. All right. Aries, you've got the 6 of Cups. So there is this energy of nostalgia. There's this energy of the past. You guys are desirous of something or someone from the past. And I get the sense that you may be triggered into thinking about this person or this thing. I feel like, let's say you are just going on social media and you happen to see an ex or you happen to see a friend that you don't talk to. I feel like it's just going to trigger you into being like, oh my gosh, I really want to talk to this person. I wonder what they've been up to. Like it's almost this energy of like nosiness. Like I want to know what this person's up to. What have they been doing all of these years? Or it's this wanting to know about them. It's not necessarily wanting to be with them. It's more so wanting to know about them. And I'm not going to lie, it has a little bit of a competitiveness to it. Like, oh, I remember this bitch. She said this to me in high school. I wonder what she's up to now. I wonder if she can see that I'm successful, that I'm doing this. There's this nosiness with this competition. All right. I'm not one to judge, right? Remember those Maury episodes where people would get like really hot after they like geeks in high school, and then they brought their bully or whoever from high school on the show to see how they've changed, how hot they are, what they're doing with their life. That's kind of what I'm getting for you, Aries. So it is what it is. But I do feel like there's something or someone from the past that you kind of want to check in on this week. Okay. Next up, we've got Taurus. Let's see what we've got for Taurus for this week. All right. All right, Taurus. We've got the Three of Pentacles. Some of you guys have really big plans, or plans that involve big money, right? Some of you are really working on something big. Some of you are working with others, perhaps to get your finances in order. Maybe it's a situation where you're trying to like clean up your credit. Maybe you want to get like, you see this big establishment, right? Maybe you want to get a house. Maybe you're trying to remodel a house. I'm getting something with a house. So some of you may have your sights set on perhaps purchasing a house, moving, something like that, but getting your money in order. And I feel like even if you haven't thought about working with others, you may want to commission the help of others to help you with this. Maybe you need a mortgage broker. Maybe you need someone to help you fix your credit. Maybe you need an architect, right? I feel like this is a desire of yours, perhaps that you've had for a long time. And I feel like this is the week where you're like, all right, let me put my team together. Who do I need to talk to make this happen? How do I get my money up? Who can help me with that? So I feel like this week it's a team effort. So whatever it is that you're desiring, don't go at it alone. I feel like there are people that are ready, willing, and able to help you if you will just put out the bat signal, right? That's exactly what you're going to do this week. All right. Next up, we've got Gemini. Let's see what we've got for Gemini for this week. Gemini, you've got the Ace of Swords. You guys are extremely decisive about something. There could be a situation or a person that you are cutting out for good. Now, remember I said this new moon is Scorpio. It's new beginnings, but they could be preceded by endings. So for some of you, there are certain people that you're cutting out. There are certain people or certain activities you may be cutting out. Maybe your desire, maybe what you're trying to manifest is like weight loss, right? So maybe you decide, well, I'm not going to hang out with them because they're always drinking or they're always going out to eat. Or maybe I'm going to cut out, drinking every day or whatever it is. I feel like you've made a decision and you're like, okay, whatever is not in alignment with this decision, whatever is not going to help me achieve this thing, I'm kind of cutting out. And you're very cut and dry about it. I feel like you're not straddling the fence. I feel like you're not like, oh, well, maybe this. Like, no, you're like, this is it. Either you're in or you're out, like nothing in between. So you guys are in you're in a position of power this week where you guys are really figuring out what it is that you want and what is standing in the way of you having what you want. And you're taking action on that, right? So good for you. I think that's a great place to be. All right. Next up, we've got Cancer. Let's see what we've got for Cancer for this week. Cancer, you feel a little... your energy feels a little like you're fumbling or you're stumbling a little bit. It's like there's something that you want, but you're not quite sure about it or you're not quite convicted about it is what I'm getting. Okay, you've got two cards. Okay. You've got the Strength card and you've got the Eight of Wands. It's like you are going to be faced with a situation. I feel like a situation that perhaps comes in quickly that sort of gets you to be courageous, that sort of gets you to stand convicted in what it is that you want. Some of you are afraid of what you want. Maybe you're afraid of what other people are going to say. Maybe you're afraid of the backlash. Maybe you're afraid that you can't have it. And I feel like you are going to be pushed into a position where you have to really stand 10 toes down on what it is that you want, to really be convicted in it. And I feel like as you do that, people will respect it. I think the backlash that you think that you're going to get is because people are picking up on your wishy-washy kind of energy or your not sure kind of energy. So they can kind of come in and dominate you and get you to do what they want to do, or even manipulate you to a certain extent. But if you're really standing firm in what it is that you want and you're strong about it, people can't fuck with you, and they can't fuck with what you're trying to do. So this may be a situation where you are faced with a scary situation, or maybe you're faced with a situation that really requires you to be brave and courageous and stand 10 toes down on what it is that you want. And in doing so, it's not as bad as you think it is. I think the fear of it is a lot greater than the reality of what it is that you want and how you think that people are going to perceive it. So just be convicted in what it is that you want. It's not as bad as you think it is. Okay. Next up is Leo. Let's see what we've got for Leo for this week. Leo, it's you. It's the Queen of Wands. You guys are feeling yourself this week. Literally. Some of you are really tapping into that sexual energy this week. But it's not in an aggressive sort of way. Some of you are tapping into your sensual side this week. And I feel like that is the perfect way to kick off this week and to kick off this new moon energy. I feel like it's not this forceful, very overly aggressive, sexual animalistic energy. It's sort of soft, it's sort of demure, it's very sensual. Some of you are really like, what I'm seeing is kind of crazy, but some of you are like, you're literally feeling yourselves this week in a very soft and sensual sort of way. Like you're really in tune with your body. You're really in tune with your desires, and you're very comfortable in this space. And that's a wonderful place to be this week. I feel like a lot of you are actually, as fiery as this energy can be, I see a lot of you kind of avoiding drama. I see you sitting from the sideline, like you're good within yourself and you're watching everyone else lose their shit and fight and do all this stuff. You're like, nope, I'm in my little world. I'm doing me. I'm feeling good. It's almost like you're not letting anyone mess with your emotions. You're not letting anyone fuck with your vibe this week. And I really like that for you. It is from this place where you can really create a lot of things. Get those creative juices flowing, okay? I feel like this is going to be a week that really sets a lot of great things in motion for you. All right. Next up, we've got Virgo. Let's see what we have for Virgo for this week. All right, Virgo. You've got the counterpart to the Queen of Wands. You've got the King of Wands. You guys are also very confident this week. Confident, fiery. You guys are very much convicted in what it is that you want. And you guys have your eyes set on something or someone in particular. And it's like you are not taking no for an answer. You're very aggressive in a Virgo sort of way. It's not very direct. It's more indirect, but it gets people thinking. Like I see you, like, let's say you really desire someone. I see like you really getting in their heads, like really trying to feel them out, trying to understand how they tick, what they like, what they don't like. Like Virgo is very detail oriented. And when Virgo loves you, Virgo will memorize the smallest detail. You'll be out one day and say, oh, this looks cute. And then like 2 weeks later, Virgo gets it for you, right? Virgo is very attentive in that way. And I see you directing your energy toward someone like, oh, I remember they said they like apple juice. So you get the finest, most expensive apple juice and have it delivered straight to their door, right? Because Virgo can be a little extra. And with this King of Wands energy, like you are doing the most, right? But it's coming from a place of desire, but also a place of love. And so I feel like you've got your eyes really set on someone and you are willing to go the extra mile to make them yours. Okay. Be careful with that. You don't want to get obsessive. You don't want to be creepy or stalkerish. Although Virgo, I don't think you would. Virgo knows how to keep a healthy sense of detachment. So I feel like Virgo isn't going to be all up on you like white on rice. But I do feel like Virgo is really willing to focus all of their energy on one person. So if you are that one person, consider yourself lucky. Because number one, Virgo doesn't like too many people. But when Virgo likes you, Virgo likes you. So someone is about to get all of Virgo's attention and affection this week. So good for them. All right. Next up, we've got Libra. Let's see what we've got for Libra for this week. Libra, You guys are the Emperor. A lot of fire energy this week, which does not surprise me because Mars is really doing some shit this week. But Libra, I feel like you guys are taking charge of something. You're being very strategic about an objective. But some of you are, so there's a very different energy between, okay, I'm making things happen, I'm being strategic, or I'm being strategic because I'm scared or I'm apprehensive and I feel like I need to do the most and do all of this in order to have what I want. Do you understand the difference between the two? Libra, I feel like it's more of the latter for you guys. I feel like you guys are being strategic, but it's coming from a place of like conflict, from a place of competition. I feel like it's one of these situations where you're like, it's almost like you're playing chess, but you're like, I need to know the next move so that I don't lose. It's not about moving from a place of being a winner. You're sort of moving from a place of not being a loser. Hopefully that didn't go over your head. So maybe it's time to examine why you're moving this way. Do a little shadow work and figure out why you're on the defensive, because think of the Emperor as like a general. The general is on the defensive, right? They're on both sides, right? Like there is some offensive kind of strategy, but usually there's a very strong defensive kind of strategy. So why are you on the defensive? Why are you trying so hard not to be a loser? And I'm not saying that you are a loser, but I just said it's like you're making these moves with the intent, like the intent behind these moves is like, I don't want to lose, rather than being like, yeah, I'm already a winner. So whatever moves I make, it's because I'm a winner and I know that I'll win. So there's some shadow work this week, but I feel like you guys are really in your head. I feel like there's a particular goal that you have and you are like trying to figure out the best way possible to achieve that goal, right? You're very convicted. Like you're one-minded when it comes to the goal. However, again, you want to examine the intent behind the strategy and where is that coming from? Why you're on the defensive. And I think it's in understanding that you'll be able to move forward successfully. Okay? All right. That was Libra. Now we are up to Scorpio. Let's see what we've got for Scorpio for this week. All right, Scorpio, you've got 2 cards. Ooh, Scorpio, I like this for you. We've got the 9 of Cups, which is wishes fulfilled. And we've got the Empress, which is abundance. All right, you guys are sitting pretty. You guys are about satisfaction this week. You guys want to feel full. You want to feel satiated. You want to feel like you have what you want. And for some of you, I feel like that's how you're feeling. You're feeling like, yeah, I have all this. I've done this. I've achieved this. Like, it's almost like you're able to enjoy the fruits of your labors. Some of you have been working really hard over the last couple of months. And I feel like a lot of the messages I've been getting for you over the last couple of months have been about how hard you've been working behind the scenes. And I feel like you're at a point where you can enjoy them, where you're feeling satiated, where you're feeling good. Keep that same energy, literally, because this is only going to compound on itself. That feeling good, that feeling full, that feeling satiated, it's only going to give you more situations where you feel that way. So stay in that energy, stay in that mindset. Remember I said before, anything that we're feeling right now, anything that we're feeding with our emotions is really going to project into our reality. So feel satisfied and you will have more satisfying situations. Now, this is also giving me overindulgence. So you also want to be mindful of how much you're eating or how much you're drinking this week. Because some of you may be really feeling good and you're like throwing back a little too many drinks. Or maybe you're like eating a lot, like whatever. So especially health-wise, you're going to want to be mindful of what you're ingesting and gluttony, overindulgence, right? But I feel like you guys have something to celebrate this week. So good job for you, Scorpio. I feel like things are very much moving in the right direction for you. Next up, we've got Sagittarius. Let's see what we've got for Sagittarius for this week. All right, Sag, we've got the Ace of Pentacles. You guys are going to be presented with a new opportunity this week, all right? And it's It's brand spanking new. So this new moon in Scorpio, like I mentioned before, it's like new, right? We don't have eclipses there. The dust has settled. It's a really new transformative time. And some of you are going to be presented with an opportunity that could, like, no lie, perhaps change your life. It could be really transformative. However, unless you're willing to do the shadow work, it's almost like this opportunity, you may not even see this opportunity because maybe you're still in a place of bitterness. Maybe you're in a place of fear, anxiety that's sort of blinding you to this opportunity. So it's really important, especially today, literally today, that you're going to want to engage in some shadow work, engage in figuring out what's lurking underneath the surface, because you definitely don't want this opportunity to pass you by. It's not an opportunity that you have to create. It's an opportunity that's literally presented to you, and you definitely don't want to miss it. Or you may not miss it, but you may not want to take advantage of it because maybe you're fearful, maybe you're anxious, maybe you're bitter, right? Like, you want to clean all that stuff up so you can enjoy this beautiful new opportunity that's being presented to you. Okay. Next up, we've got Capricorn. Let's see what we've got for Capricorn for this week. Ooh, Capricorn. We've got the Four of Pentacles. Now, normally I would say this is a card that's not necessarily bad for you because you guys are very structured, very diligent. It shows you saving, right? But the way this card is coming up right now, it doesn't seem like you're saving money or you're holding on to things. You are holding on to things, but I think it's things that don't necessarily serve you anymore. I feel like sort of like Libra's reading, how Libra was like making moves, but it's like either making moves from the perspective of a winner or from the perspective of not wanting to lose. You guys are holding on to things, but some of it may be fear-based. Others may be like, I don't know what I would do without this, so I need to hold on to it really tightly. It's this holding on that's holding you back. Remember I said before with the Neptune transit, it's all about going with the flow. Some of you are resisting the flow. So you're holding on to things and it's causing a blockage. For some, I'm hearing you may have like an actual blockage, like whether it could be health related. So you may want to get that checked out. But for some of you, it's like this holding on so tight because I don't want to let it go. I don't know what I'm going to do without it. I don't know if I'm going to be okay without it. It's like a blockage in the flow of things. Spirit wants to make things work out for you, but you're like, no, I don't want to let go. And Spirit is like, if you would just let go, you would get better or you would get more. So this holding on, this resistance that you are actually doing, it's standing in the way of you having what it is that you want. And so you really need to understand, Scorpio energy, again, doing that shadow work. Why are you holding on so tightly? What are you afraid of? Why are you afraid of letting go? What do you think is going to happen if you let go? Sometimes our fear makes us see shit that is so not real and that it's so bigger than what is actually happening in reality. And I think that's what may be going on with you, Cap. I think that you guys are like, if I let this go, the world is going to fall apart. My life is going to fall apart. And Spirit is like, actually, if you let it go, your life is going to come together better, more smoothly, more in alignment with who you really are and what you really want. So examine why you're holding on so tight. And maybe this week may have you letting go of something. But if it is for your highest good. All right. Next up, we've got Aquarius. Let's see what we've got for Aquarius for this week. All right, Aquarius. We've got the Knight of Pentacles. Aquarius, I get the sense that you guys have been putting in the work. All the shadow work that I'm talking about with this new moon in Scorpio, I feel like you guys have been doing that. Or perhaps you are beginning to do that. And not going to lie, it's a long road ahead. This work is diligent. It requires patience. It requires diligence. It requires consistency. It requires discipline. And it's not something that's going to happen like that. It's going to require you to work diligently. But put your nose to the grindstone and you will eventually get there. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. You just got to put one foot in front of the other. And don't pay attention to what's going on in the dark. For some, you're resisting moving forward because you're afraid. Perhaps you're walking this journey alone. Perhaps it's that Bible verse is, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil. That's what's coming to mind right now. Some of you are really afraid to move forward. Some of you are really afraid to do the work. Some of you are like, if I look at my shadow, it's going to scare the fuck out of me. And Spirit is like, but that's where the treasure is. That's where the gems are. You know how diamonds are made, right? They're made under pressure. They're made in darkness with coal or whatever it is. I don't know. That is how we rise through the darkness. And it's time for you to embrace your darkness. It's time for you to walk through your darkness, to kind of examine what's going on underneath the surface. It's time to put in that work. Like I said, some of you have been putting in that work. Just keep doing it. But some of you, it's time to start. And though the road may be long, it's fruitful. So get to work. All right. And last, but certainly not least, we've got Pisces. Let's see what we've got for Pisces. Okay, Pisces. Hold on a second. I usually don't take cards that fall on the floor. However, this one, we've got the Tower card. And it shot out of the deck. And so something surprising may happen, okay? And it may not necessarily feel good at the time. I'm not even going to lie to you. I'm not going to sugarcoat this. I feel like something may fall apart suddenly. And I know you, Pisces, you kind of just want to swim away. Or you absorb the shock of this thing and that's all you feel. But this falling apart is meant to liberate you. Whatever this was before it fell apart, it's like a house built on sand. It's like a house of cards, really. Yeah, it was standing up, but it wasn't really secure. And you thought it was secure. So you're like, yeah, going about your business, doing this, that, and the third. And Spirit is like, this is not sustainable. And I think in your intuition, as intuitive as you guys can be, you realize this wasn't sustainable. You realize this wasn't the end goal. You realize that this wasn't the destination. And so it fell apart, or it will soon fall apart. And you're going to be like, oh my gosh, this fell apart. I don't know what I'm going to do. It's all about perspective. You could wallow in the loss of something that wasn't sustainable anyway. Or you can think of it as, all right, that fell apart. Yeah, it sucks. I'm not going to say it doesn't suck. But now I can clear the way for something that is stable. I don't have to, because guess what? When you were enjoying this thing that wasn't sustainable, you knew it wasn't sustainable. So you had this undercurrent of insecurity. You were like, yeah, I'm doing this, but I don't know. This house of cards could fall any day now. Like, I don't know. And you're just going along to get along. You're just like, yeah, let's just keep doing this. And the Spirit was like, no, this is not the way to live. You know, you don't want to live this way. You know, you don't want to feel anxious, or you no longer want to feel like, when is the other shoe going to drop? You want to be stable. You want to be secure. You want to know that whatever you're doing is lasting. And that is the opportunity that you're being given at this time. The opportunity, the space to have something that is stable, secure, and lasting. Now, you're going to want to figure out where this pertains to in your life. But understand that whatever has dismantled, whatever has fallen apart, it is for your highest good. It's because whatever you were dealing with was not sustainable. And now you have the opportunity to have something that is. So use this opportunity wisely. Tap into your creativity. Don't feed your emotions, because that is what is going to manifest at this time. Think of the future. Think of stability. Think of everything that you truly desire, and allow the universe to work with you to have those things, and you will have them. Okay? All right, my loves, that concludes this edition of the weekly Astro Forecast. I sincerely hope that you were able to get at least one important piece of information that you can use going forward into this week. Feel free to comment, like, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. And yeah, so I wish you nothing but the best for this upcoming week. And I will see you in my next live. All right, my loves.